Hello. Today we are going to be looking at Grinning Deer. So first thing we're going to do is Google search the Grinning Deer. So let's do that. And the first thing that comes up is the Grinning Deer website, the very first thing. So let's click on that. Okay, so you have the Grinning Deer. And then scroll down, you've got this picture. Okay, great. So we click on the Grinning Deer. Here are links to the articles. Okay, let's see, which one do I want to do? What should I do? I'll just do Grinning Quakers. Okay, should load. Alright, let's go ahead and read this article, and I'll do commentary on the way. Grinning Quakers. In the mid 1800s was the Civil War. It was a massive war and a lot of people died. That is true. A lot of people did die in the Civil War. Of course, this was a huge problem for humans in the United States. Obviously was, because a lot of people died. Slaves got around by going undercover when they escaped from their own masters. They would get help from the folks who were on the side of the North. So that all of that is pretty true. Nothing much to say there. Let's get into the grinning deer part of it. But this just wasn't just a problem for the slaves and their owners. This was also a major problem for the grinning deer. Obviously, there were grinning deer around at that time. Tons of them, in fact. Well, yes, of course, grinning deer were around at that time, because grinning deer have always been around. Anyway, back to the article. You see, the regular deer, mules, whitetails, etc., got scared off by all those guns and cannons. Yes, guns and cannons do scare regular deer. They moved to safe areas of the wilderness where there weren't so many people. As you would guess, this was a disappointment for the grinning deer. They no longer had the option of feeding on the souls of normal deer. So yeah, grinning deer usually feed on the souls of normal deer to spread the entire grinning deer thing. That's why there's so many of them. Moving on, they had to think up of something else, and quick. In order to survive, they needed to eat the spirits of something, and the humans were too busy with war, so they didn't have the option of staring to their souls. So yeah, humans didn't have time to deal with grinning deer at the time of the Civil War. They were in a huge war, and people were getting killed left and right. This did not leave. Well, so you would scarcely ever see somebody walking alone in the woods because there were always armies around. So obviously, grinning deer did not get any opportunities. Well, at least not many opportunities, because we're going to read this next word. Yes, these poor grinning deer had nobody to terrorize. A lot of them moved deep into the northern woods as a result of this, but some of them had other plans. In the midst of the Civil War, there were some peaceful people, the Quakers. So yeah, Quakers, people say they were peaceful, but it was against their religion to have kids, so it doesn't sound very peaceful to me. You see, part of the Quakers' religion was to not go to war. That is true. Any war that happened, even if it was a just war, the Quakers simply refused to participate in it. That is also true. I'm not too updated on the history of Quakers. As far as I know, Quakers are against wars, so that would make sense. Moving on. Because of this principle of theirs, while the huge civil war was raging, the Quakers didn't take part in it. As far as I know, that's true. The grinning deer, of course, noticed this. Grinning deer notice everything. And I mean everything. Grinning deer actually do notice everything. They're probably watching you through your window right now, so I would go and check that. This would be easy prey for them. Another thing about the Quakers was that they were known for their hospitality. They would let anybody into their homes, including grinning deer. Now, yes, Quakers were hospitable. Apparently, that was part of their whole religion too. But like going as far as letting grinning deer into your household, I mean, there's got to be something wrong with them. I mean, that's going a bit too far. The grinning deer could take advantage of the Quakers and use them for an underground railroad as a way of getting around during the war. So yes, since the grinning deer were always looking out for their prey, but they couldn't find any prey because, of course, everybody was in the army. They would get around by um, attempting to go and into the Quakers' houses, and they would often succeed at this. I'm guessing they feeded on the souls of the Quakers. Obviously, the Grinning Deer main priority of the Grinning Deer is to feed on souls of people and other animals. Sometimes, for years, they lived off of them, and when it says years, of course, that's the entire span of the Civil War. So I don't know how many years that would be, but I think it's like 5. I don't know. House by house. If only this people knew better the Grinning Deer's capabilities. I mean, you'd think that Quakers would be pretty stupid to even just let a grinning deer into their house. I guess they just weren't updated at all. They were just so isolated. They probably didn't have as much information on grinning deer as everybody else did. So yeah. As it turned out, after the Civil War had ended, there were quite a few houses found empty that had belonged to Quakers years ago. Where did they all go? Some people asked, stunned at the Quakers' sudden disappearance. So yeah, if the Quakers suddenly disappeared, you gotta find out why they disappeared. Desperate for a solution to this mystery, a theory was coined. The Quakers died out because it was against their religion to have kids. Now, yeah, that's pretty much what everybody believes, as it's going to say here. Now, to this day, that is still what most people believe, but we all know the real reason. And there it shows a picture of a grinning deer terrorizing a Quaker in the field. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. The Civil War, a lot of bad stuff happened in there, but more than you think, because grinning deer were involved in there too, as they were involved in pretty much everything else. Alright, that's gonna be all for today. Thank you for watching the Grinning Deer YouTube channel, and be sure to bonk that subscribe button, and peace out.